The new look Thunder is about to make its Southern NBA swing to begin a month that appears to present a more favorable schedule. From the Dodge Sports Desk, I'm Mike Sherman, and this is the NBA and OKC with Mike Baldwin. Mike, the Thunder starts December in Charlotte on Wednesday, then in Orlando on Friday, and then they finish this Southern swing Saturday in Miami. What about this part of the schedule that really is favorable and makes you think the Thunder could make some hay?
Well, it's more the games after that, because any road game is going to be tough for this team. That's why the win at Memphis was so huge, to end the losing streak and to get out there and actually get a win. But these are the kind of teams outside of Orlando. Orlando's a borderline Eastern contender behind the Bostons and Clevelands and some of the better teams over there. They're playing pretty well. And we saw with Dwight Howard coming through the Ford Center when he had his first career triple-double, that will be a handful. But Miami has got a healthy Dwayne Wade and all that, but that's a team with Beasley that's still trying to find itself. Charlotte is an expansion team that keeps getting a little better every year, but they still have issues. They're playing better. It's not going to be an easy win, but it's sure not like going to Boston or Detroit or Cleveland or those kind of places. These are the kind of teams that if you play well and bring your A game that night, you can leave with a win like they did Saturday night.
The month of December looks more favorable, though, overall, doesn't it?
December and January, because once you get to February, remember, they don't even play the Lakers till February and March, and you get them 3 times. They don't even really play the Spurs but once until February and March. I mean, they've got a lot of those. They got the rematch with the Celtics. They got the Pistons. They've got almost all their games with Denver and Portland later on. I mean, they get one of them, but they got 3 more with them, which are all teams looking pretty good in the West. So you're playing teams more like yourself the next 20, 25 games. That's why is 500 realistic over that time? I don't know, 12-12, 14-14. But even if they go 10-18 compared to what we've seen, I think it would be progress. That's why these are teams you can beat. You better beat them while they're here, because it's only going to get a lot tougher once you get around Valentine's Day.
Okay, let's talk about Charlotte. The coaching legend Larry Brown is there in Charlotte trying to, take on this rebuilding job. That includes Kevin Durant's old college teammate, DJ Augustine, who's off to a really good rookie start. But what do we need to know about this matchup with the Bobcats?
Well, I think they're going to go small like the Thunder. That's what we're hearing, because they're playing Augustine and Raymond Felton at times, both their point guards, which they like to do with Watson and Westbrook at times. Some people feel like that's sometimes their best 5 on the floor when they get them out there. Okafor's a little bit of a force inside, which will give them potential problems like they've had in the past by going small like they have. But they don't have a dominant big man inside. Wallace has a little bit of that. Well, so does Wheezy, Wilcox for the Thunder, a little bit of Collison, some of those guys. Joe Smith has had a little success down low, hit a big shot in the Memphis win. So I think this is not the first time that they're going to have to be worried about a strong inside presence. Dwight Howard will be, but this game I don't think. So I think you're going to see a game similar to Memphis. There's going to be a lot of smaller players on the court. It'll be a fun, entertaining game.
Jason Richardson is coming back from injury. He's back in line.
He's playing well.
Big game, playing well, so that'll be interesting to watch. Now, the weekend Florida swing starts in Orlando against Dwight Howard, who blew up. I mean, one of the best games of his career at the Ford Center, and a game really at the time the Thunder were struggling mightily. Not that they pulled out it, not that they're thriving right now, but they are playing better. Do you look at this Orlando game as a good barometer, or maybe on how they've progressed under interim coach Scott Brooks?
Yeah, I don't think you judge it on wins and losses. It's similar to those 2 New Orleans games. The one New Orleans game was PJ's last game, and then the next night they played a lot better, and Chris Paul had to have a triple-double. David West had to have 32 points just to defeat the Thunder that night. I mean, it was like a 6-8 point game most of the night. After the night before on national TV in the Ford Center, they were down 25, 30 points the whole game. That's how you'll judge this game. Not so much if they win or not, if they can just make it competitive and keep it in single digits most of the game, because it would be a huge upset, and that'd be a real big one on the mantle if you could somehow win that one. But if you're competitive and just don't get dismantled like you did in the Ford Center, I think that would be a successful night.
Saturday in Miami is Dwayne Wade, the Heat, and Michael Beasley. How's the former K-State star's rookie season going so far?
Well, he's not close to being the leading candidate for Rookie of the Year. That's Derrick Rose and some of the other guys around him. But he is averaging 14, 15 points a game. He's bringing the offense everybody thought he would. The one thing that everybody thought might happen has happened is his defense. He's never really had to play it. He didn't have to play it in AAU ball, didn't have to play it at Kansas State. And now late in games, they're pulling him out of the game. The other night, he had a key steal with about 4 or 5 minutes to go. They left him in for a couple more possessions, telling him that's what we need to see more out of you if you want to be in crunch time. That's going to be a learning process for him. I think the entire season, sort of what we're seeing with Westbrook here, you see it other rookies around the league, is his defense is greatly lacking. We knew he had offensive skills. We saw that in the Big 12 last year. His defense has a long way to go, but it sounds like he made a little bit of progress the other night. It'll be interesting to see if he can make a little progress against the Thunder when we see them on TV.
Okay, Mike, let's end up with the big issue in the league right now. The fast forward to 2010. Charles Barkley says LeBron James should just shut up and stop talking about where he's going to be playing in 2 years because it's disrespectful to the Cavs and disrespectful to his teammates. LeBron counters by saying Charles Barkley is stupid. Who's right here? Is anybody right?
Well, I don't know if there's a right or wrong, but I agree with Charles Barkley. 2010 is 18 months away. A lot of things can happen. We know the Cavs can offer him more money in the long run. That may be better for him to stay, but we also know he's tempted by New York City. He's tempted by lights and advertising and all those kind of dollars. And so let it play out. Was it wrong to go in the Madison Square Garden and talk about it? Probably not, but he keeps bringing it up. And when somebody like Charles calls him out, he gets real defensive. That's where I have a problem is LeBron, you're going to turn this into a circus for 18 months if you allow it. And right now, I think he wants the circus, and that's what's getting a little bit much. Cleveland's got a chance to be a contender this year. LeBron may be the MVP of the league. Let's concentrate on that more than 2010. That's the way me, a fan, and a writer would like to see it. I just hope this just doesn't keep going the way it's been going the last couple of weeks because the story's already old in my opinion.
It'd be interesting. The Cavs come here December 21st.
Christmas present for the fans.
Christmas present for the fans. But last question on that, Mike. Is this really disruptive to the Cavs? Because one thing LeBron wants to do is build a championship team around him. But who's going to come to Cleveland and want to stay in Cleveland if in 2 years he may be leaving? Doesn't this in the long run really hurt the Cavs?
It might, but right now they're the hottest team in the league. They're like 11-1 their last 12 games. That's why I'm curious to see how they play up until the time they get to the Ford Center because this has just all come out recently. They'd been winning games before he did this. Does this affect his teammates? Do you give a game away or two away that you shouldn't have when you've been playing well because they're all like, we're tired of this. Maybe they're not. Maybe they are. We'll find out. But how they play the next 3 weeks before they come to the Ford Center, I think will have a lot to do with this 2010 talk. So I'm curious to see how the Cavs will play because they've been playing well up till this point.
Thanks, Mike. Listen, that's all for the NBA and OKC, but you can continue the conversation on all things Thunder and the NBA at Oklahoma City's newest and best fan website. It's called thundermadness.com. And then stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.